Hi everyone, it's James Donaldson again from Get Active Coaching. Hopefully you've been able to see the previous calisthenics video that was covered yesterday where we covered pushing strength and hand balancing. But if you haven't seen it, I'll just quickly go over calisthenics again. Calisthenics is quite a traditional form of exercise, which the word derives from ancient Greek kalos, stenos, which means beauty and strength. So calisthenics is a process of performing dynamic and challenging movements in a way that demonstrates control and strength, and often quite beautiful looking movements as well. I'm still a bit of a beginner or an intermediate in calisthenics. I can't perform freestanding handstands or muscle ups yet, but as I explained in the end of the last video, it's a really mindful process for me, calisthenics, where I can connect with my body and set myself targets and challenges to work through training in a way that's so different to going to the gym. So yesterday, in the previous video, we showed you the upper body exercises. Today we're going to show you lower body exercises. And I've just got a nice little selection to go through, which will hopefully be different to the sort of movements you performed before. I think it's quite important that we're going to have a really thorough warm-up to cover our ankles, knees and hips. Especially for people who have injuries, there's no reason why you can't perform any of these exercises that I'm going to cover with support. Just behind me here, the only piece of equipment I'm going to use here is one part of my portable dip station, and I can use this to hold on to if I need some extra support. So you might want to perform these exercises next to a table, a chair, anywhere, or the wall, anywhere where you can grab yourself a little bit of support. But before we go into that, we're going to get started into your warm-up. So all you're going to need is a little bit of space to move into. I'm just in the garage here again, and I've just got a little exercise mat on the floor. So I'm just going to come over to the side, and I'm going to do these warm-up exercises in a sort of yoga flow. Like I explained in the previous video, there's lots of crossover between yoga and calisthenics. I'm going to try and promote that as best I can. So the first exercise was the same that we started in the previous video. We're going to do an extended child's pose. So all I've done is kneel down on the mat. I'm opening up my knees and touching my toes at the back here, and I'm just going to walk my hands away from the body and spend some time just stretching out my hips. I'm going to take 3 deep breaths where each breath I'm going to relax myself closer to the floor. Like I explained yesterday, it's a really good stretch for your hips to try and give yourself, just really open up the body, especially if you're working from home and getting tightness throughout the day. Now from here, we're just going to come forward, place your hands down in front of you, just sort of below your chest, and bring my knees in again. And I'm going to tuck my feet down and stand myself up into a downward dog. This is sort of a classic yoga pose. And we're going to use this stretch to really stretch out our hamstrings and calf muscles. And I'm just going to hold this little pose. As time goes on, I feel like I maybe push back, sit myself back into it further and feel the stretch even further. Just respond to what you feel is comfortable and how you feel performing the movement. Okay, drop down to my knees again. We're not going to stand up. Like I said, we can perform all of these warm-up exercises in a flow. I'm going to bring one foot through between my hands, and we're going to lunge down this side here. I'm just going to rest into this lunge. My knee at the back here is just touching or just off the floor, whatever you feel comfortable with. And after a little hold there, I'm now going to sit back, flatten my foot, and straighten this leg out in front of me. We'll have a different hamstring stretch on this side. From here, swap legs. We will lunge first, and again it's just the same. This knee just hovering just above the ground. I've got my hands just touching the floor just in case. And the longer I go with this, the more of it, not just a stretch here in my groin and in my quad, I can also feel it in my glute muscles at the back as well. After a hold there, same process, flatten the foot at the back, sit back, raise the toes, and a stretch on the hamstring on this side. Okay, bringing both feet in, we're going to enter into a deep squat. So I'm opening my hips up nice and wide, just like with the extended child's pose, but this time crouching. I'm just going to bring my hands, it looks like I'm praying, but I'm just bringing my hands in here. I'm just going to use them to push open my hips that little bit more and try and keep my back and chest, shoulders up, pull them back and sit just facing forwards and hold a nice big stretch here. So I'll quickly just show you all of those again, but we're doing them all in one time. So we have extended child's pose. And after a little hold, you can tuck your feet in, move into downward dog, drop a knee, bring a foot forward into our lunge, lean back into a hamstring stretch. It's called a half split, this one. Swap feet, lunge on this side, fall back into the half split, and finally a deep squat. Obviously you can do them a little bit slow, but I just wanted to recap those to show how I would do them all in one go. Okay, the first exercise that we're going to cover for your lower body is actually a bridge. So we're going to come down onto the floor and just going to lie back, your feet tucked in as close to your behind, your thighs as you can. And all we're going to do for a bridge is we're going to lift our hips off the ground, and to do this we're using the glute muscles and the quads and hip flexors to hold us up here. But there's a few variations. If a bridge is not too difficult, you can do it as a rep, just here, or as a hold, or it can even be separated into a one leg activity. So you can hold the bridge with one leg here, swap, and hold it here. It's a really, really strong exercise to use to strengthen your glutes, and if you're someone that experiences lower back pain, it can be really, really helpful for you too. Exercise number 2. With all these exercises we have chances to do things on one leg, but I'm just going to stand to the side now so you can see. We're just going to do some calf raises, and this is the first time where you might feel comfortable to use a support. So for a normal calf raise, we're just going to stand up onto our toes and drop back down again. Now this might feel like nothing much to do, depends on how much balance you have or how much strength you've got already. But it's a good strengthener for your calf muscles. You might find that doing it flat on the ground isn't as much of a challenge as you would like. You could go to your stairs, if you've got them, or a step, and that allows your feet just to extend that bit further and you get a much bigger raise. Progressing it now into one foot, if you want to, you can hold on to your support. You can do the same action, either just as a constant repetition, or you can have holds up there at the top as well, which can start working on your balance. Same on the other side. Okay, and the third exercise we're going to cover is squats. Now these might seem straightforward, you've seen people do them in the gym with weight, but we're going to work on a little bit of technique to make sure everything's in the right place. So staying side on again, I'm just going to show you that I would like your feet to come shoulder width apart, okay, as you can see here. So your feet are shoulder width apart, in straight lines, and as I'm going to drop down to the squat, there's some crucial pieces of information I want to share. I want to make sure that your toes and your heels are going to stay flat on the ground. I want to make sure as you go further that your knees are not going past the end of your toes. So we've got a nice straight line here. And with the upper body, we want to be able to keep our chest, head and shoulders back, just looking straight and naturally ahead, just like we were doing in the deep squat. And I've just got my hands at the front of me here just to create some balance. I know this might seem like a really simple exercise, but there's probably those factors with the heels and the toes, the knees, and keeping your upper body up that are a lot harder to do. You might find that as you come over to squat, you're all the way over here. You might find that you want to come up onto your toes, and then when you come up to your toes, you can see that your knees go forward as well. So it could be something to do in front of a mirror, just like I've done there side on, and then you can see how you look whilst performing that movement, and it gives you a chance to try and investigate why that would happen. Generally, if you're coming forward like this, you could have tight glutes or tight calves. Every problem in the movement gives you a chance to correct something. So it's exactly what I've been saying about calisthenics before. These exercises look very basic. You've probably maybe done them before, but it's the process of paying attention to your body, seeing how it looks if you can, maybe film yourself or use a mirror, seeing how things look and trying to correct and work on that weakness. Okay. The last thing we're going to try and cover is one leg squats. This is where we start progressing the levels a little bit here. So in the initial calisthenics, there's two form of one leg squat movements that I like to try and introduce with people that I train and practice myself. So we've been doing the normal squat, and this is where, again, we're going to bring this hand support in. So for you to try and do a one leg squat initially, all you're going to do is try and get as low down to the floor, extend your other leg behind, and come back up. And again, think about those other factors. You can see already compared to my normal squat that my upper body is really wanting to go down as much as possible. So I'm working hard to keep it up. I just swap legs. And the hand balancing, that's maybe changing my body position a little bit, but it gives me a chance to fully experience the movement all the way down and back up. Now you don't really need to do these things quickly. I'll be doing them as slow as possible, trying to generate as much control as you can. The next variation of one leg squat you're going to look at is, again, it's more powerful this time. I'm going to go down to the floor, but we're going to jump up into a hop. This is a really good exercise for people who are trying to generate more speed if you're a runner. So we're doing a squat and a big power up. Trying to jump as high as we can, maybe like we're heading a football or something like that, really generating a lot of power. And finally, the last one leg variation is called a pistol squat. This is definitely where I need my support because I'm not at the point where I can fully perform the movement. So I need to pull these up as well. For the pistol squat, our foot is going to head forwards. So we're going to extend the leg and make sure you can see the whole movement. So I'm going to come down and all the way back up. The foot is going forwards, and you can see I've not quite got the height yet to lift my leg. Usually when I started practicing these, I would stand on an elevated surface. So it allowed the fact that my foot was quite low. You might find that easiest, maybe you can stand on the side of a stair or a step or something with your support. But generally you're going down the way, using your hip flexor to hold your leg up, toe to the sky, and keeping that foot up. I'll show you now without the support. I don't think I'll make it all the way on both legs. I can come down and back up. Okay, it's better than what I thought. And down, and whoa, not quite as strong on that side. That's a big point on the progressions, where some of the exercises you might need support, some of them you might not. I always feel it's better to do things with added support than to not try them at all. I know I've kind of raced through a few of those things, but it's important to try and show you the steps that we can go through, from doing a calf raise, through moving on to one leg, using the stairs. Even in your own house, there's always a way of increasing the challenge in your exercises. And that's what calisthenics brings, that understanding of how to make things more challenging or working towards the next level all the time. All the while improving your physical health. But for me, that process of setting targets and goals is really beneficial to your mental health too. So if you're going to create a full routine out of that setup, you'd maybe be looking at doing 20 calf raises just on your toes like this. Or if it was on one leg, you might want to do 5 or 10 because they're a lot harder to do. When it comes to the bridges, especially if you've got lower back pain, holding a bridge, especially in the morning, is a really good exercise to really give your core that strength to support your lower body. Squat exercises, you can either do them, you can start adding dumbbells with your squats. You can do them really slow, really slow and controlled, like what I'm doing here. I try and do them 10 seconds down, 10 seconds up. It just exposes some more of the weaknesses you can find. And the one leg exercises are all about balance and power and giving you something really challenging to work towards. I've been trying to practice that pistol squat for 3 or 4 years. I'm getting there, but this leg clearly isn't quite up to the task yet. But all the time I've just got to bring it back a notch. So if I'm doing an assisted pistol squat, I've got a little weight vest, I might add a little bit of weight on top, and that gives me this sort of more strength whilst I'm holding on to something. And when I stop holding on to something, I've got more power to go through it. Hopefully, again, that lower body exercise list was really, really helpful to you, then next time we're going to go through dips and some of the more exciting movements too.